we've got a bunch of crazy stuff today. So, first one, did you see what happened with Unity today?
Oh, I have. I've read quite a bit about it. I'm actually very interested in the change.
All right, tell me your take on this first because I've got one, but
Okay,
I think
I
everyone
got.
knows what mine is.
Okay, I think. Okay, so here's my general take: is that after 1 year of operating, they are down 15% year over year revenue,
Yep.
absolute terms. Their net revenue has gone up, but they have laid off people. They have made their organization more thin, more efficient. So all those things happened. What they figured out over the last course of the year is that they were able to run a runtime fee on enterprise level customers. Hence the reason why they did a 25% increase on expectation of enterprise customers. It's too
Yep.
sticky to remove Unity from enterprise level.
Yeah,
The
so
pro level,
they can get
it's
them.
less
Yeah.
sticky. And so they only did an 8% increase to kind of recapture this cost. And then for hobbyists, they realized they destroyed their hobby line. Hence the reason they're down 15%. So they're going to make their hobby line more viable for a larger amount of people because $100,000 wasn't a lot of money. I know
No.
people think like $100,000, that's a lot of money. It's like, no, if you put like a year worth of effort into it,
With
you
a
pay for
three-person
art, you do all
team,
that stuff,
yeah.
it's not a lot of money. It's actually a really small amount of money. So 200,000 is a much more viable hobby project level. And so my guess is that they did all the math. They realized they're losing customers. They're bleeding out their actual pipeline to something profitable. So they said, okay, we lost our initial people, which make all of our money. These people are effectively stuck with us. We can recapture that cost from here, and we just have to become more lean. And so they
Yeah.
did it as this generous, oh, we're just stopping the runtime fee. We realize we want to be for the customer. They restate their mission goal, which I'm sure some of them actually are truly believing the mission goal, but they're a publicly traded company. And once you're in a publicly traded company, you have a fiduciary duty to remain profitable and have the shareholders' interest as the top of your mission, effectively. Profit first, mission second. And so now they're trying to refigure out how to have better profitability by charging. I said profitability really weird by charging these other two lines more, assuming they can capture more projects that could turn into Flappy Bird by accident.
Yeah, I
That's my
think
guess.
so. For those who don't understand what's going on, basically a
Yeah, we
while
probably should have
back,
started there.
yeah, Unity used to have a business model where it was you had to make $200,000 before you had to go to their pro line, so you could use their
100,000.
no, it was $200,000 originally.
Oh, they
It
went
was
down.
yeah, so it was $200,000 originally, and then they changed it to $100,000. Basically, what it was is you had to make $200,000 before you had to go to their pro level, which means you didn't have to pay any money. You could just use the Unity for free, up to $200,000. Then they changed it so that it was up to $100,000, and anything after that, you had to do what was called a runtime fee. The runtime fee was a 20 cent per download cost or a certain percentage of sale, which I don't remember what it was. It was like 2.5% or something like that. And the internet exploded because they forced
Yeah.
everyone into this new business model. And for those who don't understand, a 20 cent per download limit doesn't make any sense. It opens up a lot of abuse for developers. It creates a lot of really big problems because, like, imagine you're making an indie game, and I want to make that same indie game. I want to clone it, right? All I have to do is I have to get a whole bunch of bot machines that just randomize all their hardware and just download the shit out of your game, and then now you're on the hook to get all these because it was per download, not per like purchase or anything like that. It was per download.
And they had
So if
no
you have a
upper
free-to-play
ceiling
game,
or anything.
yeah,
It was a
and a lot
denial
of
of wallet attack.
exactly, and a lot of mobile games are actually made in Unity, so it was like a huge problem. It's a massive problem. So Unity lost a bunch of face on the internet, and now they've changed their business model again. They've changed it from that $100,000 limit back up to $200,000. They've gotten rid of the runtime fee, no more cost per download or any of that shit, no more percentage, and they've made it so that their pro level is now 8% more expensive, and their enterprise level is 25% more expensive. When we're talking about these expenses, let me go pull these up real quick.
Yeah, the pro one wasn't actually a huge change. It definitely was a bit of a change, but I assume the enterprise when I didn't look into the exact extra costs that revolve around enterprise.
Yeah, Unity is now at the pro level. It's $185 a month per seat. So that's another one. It is not for your whole team. It is per seat on your team if you make over $200,000. So this ends up being like a crazy thing, right? Where like that is you're starting to enter like this is a corporation from this is I'm doing some indie games with my friends. The problem that I see with this overall, man, is not whether or not Unity's business model is any good. They're competing against Godot. That's really what they're competing against. They're competing against a free and open source software that does what they do. So
To what level does Godot do it? Because I hear a lot of mixed reviews that Godot, though good, is just not in the same ballpark.
so
And I kind of see it go back and forth. Like I can't really kind of suss out the goodness level because I haven't done enough work in
sure.
Godot to understand it.
The biggest problem that you have right now is you remember when Blender first started, like way back in
Mhm.
the day, and it was competing against like 3D
It,
Studio Max and Maya,
and
right?
it was literally impossible to use.
Yeah, and it was trash. It was awful, right? And it slowly got better and better over time. And 3D Studio Max and Maya have
Mhm.
just kind of stayed the same. And then now Blender is king, right?
Yep.
Imagine that at the halfway point. That's where Godot is right now. Like
Okay.
that's how it feels to me currently, and it's something that I think is immensely important to have free and open source software like that for the next generation of game devs to exist. It's actually our studio. We gave $12,345. We donated that to the Godot Foundation because I
That's a
want that
wonderful
software
number,
to
by the
exist.
way.
Yeah, I know. If we wanted to do one,
Absolute
two, three,
wonderful
four,
number.
five, that was one of our
Yeah.
last big charity support things. And like you've got other options now, right? You've got
Mhm.
so many free tools like Godot. You've got stuff that's got dramatically better business model. Like look at Game Maker Studio. Game Maker is $100 one time for a lifetime license versus $185 a month.
But does it have as much? I mean, because I would assume with the money you're spending, you have a much more rich feature set. That's at least probably the implied nature of having a
Sure.
SaaS-like product.
Yeah, the thing is if you're going to be doing something with Unity, you could do pretty much anything that I've seen you could do in Unity, you can do in Godot right now. And if you want to go higher fidelity than that, say you want to have better particles, maybe better lighting systems, things like that, you're going Unreal. And then Unreal has a completely different business model. Let me actually go see what theirs is at now.
If I'm not mistaken, it's $1 million. They take 5% of revenue.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
But it's
I think
at $1 million. So they have their free tier is much more generous.
Yep.
But then it goes, which is technically probably more expensive than Unity, but it also is it is the gold standard of really high-end engines.
Yeah, but you've basically got this weird spot where Unity is offering the most expensive option. And it's not particularly the best in everything or anything, as far as I can see, and as far as anyone else is talking about. Most of that hobbyist tier, people are moving towards things like Godot. In fact, when I talked about this on Twitter, all of the responses are, I'm already using Godot. I don't want to use this. So it's really the question of should I learn Godot, which is getting better all the time and is always going to be free, or should I pay $185 a month for something that might not work, right? And they keep changing their business model. It's just not a good offering. It's not a good offering, I think.
You pay the money only if you make it to the $200,000 or more, which is obviously the goal of every last developer is to make the money. So to be completely fair, we also are on the other side of a horrible event in which everybody is saying Godot right now. So will we still have the same experience here in a year? That's what I'm more curious about. What is going to happen in a year? Because if you see the revenue number start going back up for Unity, then you know that they've re-won the hearts and minds of new projects being started.
Yeah, my prediction on this is that they won't, just based on current room temperature. Not because they're giving a bad or a good offering. I think it's based on current room temperature. I think they lost a lot of support from people. And I don't think that Unity is standing out as something that does anything better than other engines currently. I think they need to stand out with something big, right? The Unity Asset Store used to be like a really big deal, but the moment they lost all that support, everybody providing assets for Unity Asset Store was like, hey, we got to do something else. Let's go start providing assets for other engines. And
I always thought that was the easiest way to monetize your engine to a level that's probably much bigger than a professional plan is making the world's easiest asset pipeline to store that rewards creators as much as possible. To me, that just seems like such an easy W by Unity.
Yeah, no, I super agree with that. I'm
very
interested in seeing
that they're not.
While this is going on, I'm going to put on a poll and just see what people think.
Yeah,
about the engine.
And please refrain from voting on the poll if you're like, oh, I love Godot, but you'd never actually make a game. I'd like to know if you're starting a game, are you actually using Unity? Are you actually using Godot? That kind of stuff is very interesting.
Yeah,
because Twitter's extremely hard to get correct sentiment from. Because Twitter tends to thrive on the outrage, and it's often not necessarily
I'm going to add
what the reality is.
I'm going to add Unreal, Game Maker, Unity, Godot. I mean, we've got one more slot. What do you want to add to it? We could do something like
so you have Unity, Unreal, Godot, Game Maker.
Yeah, we could add RenPy. RenPy is for visual novels. A lot of people use that.
And there's Source 2, Bevy. There's a lot of these kind of bespoke, more
I'll do
Bevy
instead of I'll do Bevy.
Raylib is really popular. Bevy slash Raylib would be interesting
Yeah.
because Raylib has been. I mean, I've seen more about Raylib in the last 6 months than I've seen about anything else, and it's actually like I hear it's a very great library. Ginger Bill imported or Raylib's a part of Odin, which is the VFX language for a lot of studios and stuff like that. It's a really great programming language. So I'm very curious where Raylib's going.
Yeah, no, I'm super interested actually because like there's so many different engines that are out there. I think right now we're seeing a shift more towards stability, right? I think overall the biggest problem that Unity has created here, people feel like the engine is unstable, like they can't trust it. You know, that's
Yeah.
it, man. Like it's not really about the cost. It's about in 6 months' time, is all my work going to be for nothing? In a year's time, is all my work? Are they going to change the deal again? You know, like that's
Yeah.
generally the sentiment that I'm seeing from a lot of people. So I can understand that. And it's funny because I took Unity off of develop.games. It's the website I put together for like game devs. I took it off of there because of the fact that I was like, they just changed the shit out of their business model. Everybody's really upset with it. This is unstable. I'm going to take this down because I can't rightly, like, I guess, recommend this to people until we know what it is, right? And it's funny because it went from an industry standard to just like gone.
Yeah.
A single
So
move.
what's the inverse? What would it take for them to regain a spot that is trustworthy? Is it just simply time doing the correct thing, making improvements all the time, or is there more that they have to do?
I think it's going to be time. I think they have to do time and consistency, right? Right now, I still don't think that they're giving a good value compared to other engines. I think every other engine is being more generous, which makes me wonder, like, what were they doing that was costing so much compared to other engines inside?
I can explain a lot of these things, I think,
Sure.
pretty well. So when they went public in 2020, typically why a company goes public is one of two reasons. A, it's effectively a rug pull for people to get their money out and get the hell out, which is probably very atypical of a company going public because that is just a huge risk to reputation and everything. You wouldn't want to do that. Or B, to be able to expand aggressively.
Yep.
And so they went from a staff that's not that large, not costing as much as it is, to a staff of approximately about 7 to 8,000 people because their goal was to massively increase what they were doing. And then the unfortunate part is that everybody bet on them, right? Kathy Woods, the famous tech investor, bet on them. They had a market cap of 80 billion, I think, just 2 years ago. And that's putting so much external pressure on them to grow, 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 grow. So what they do, they brought in the golden boy, the CEO of EA Games, right? The previous guy, one of the execs, who's just like microtransactions. Wait, runtime fee, right? Like, it's just this thing of we have to fit into this new world, and now we've reached. And so we're gonna make the greatest game engine ever. We've hired all these people, greatest support, but now we have to actually do the thing. And so they're blowing money like wild to line up that. And now they couldn't meet the expectations. And so they started falling on Wall Street really hard long before they announced this. Because remember, they only announced the runtime fee a little over 11 months ago.
Yep.
It hasn't even been a year. And so
Yeah.
for 2 years, they've been falling like a knife on Wall Street, which means that people realized, wait a second, this isn't as profitable. This is not a good, profitable, let's really super invest into, uh, you know, uh, company. And so they actually they had to come up with new lines of revenue. And since AppLovin has been destroying ads, Unity's been really struggling on capitalizing on the ads, they had to come up with a new revenue. And I'm just surprised, again, it's still not the asset pipeline. That just seems like such a W. But instead,
It
they
really
went with
does.
runtime fees, which hurts people. They could have gone with helps people versus hurts people. And they just chose the worst business model.
Yeah, I mean it's super funny because I kind of agree with that. It's kind of the same sort of a behavior you see from free to play games. Like make it really easy to get in and then have microtransactions. Make it really
Yeah.
easy to use the engine and make the asset store really good. You know, like I can understand the idea behind that. The asset store was largely curated by users though, so when all of that trust went away, a lot of that went away too. It's funny
Mhm.
too because there were people in our community that were actually making a lot of money off of the Unity asset store. They were making assets for it and doing that, and they panicked because
Oh, I can imagine.
instantly the users dried up, man, like just gone. So, and it looks like this poll is ending now. 52% say Godot, 24% say Unreal, and then Game Maker is right after that. Then Unity, then Bevy. So Bevy got last place. But yeah, like
And
exactly.
Rust. So you're already like reducing the amount of people that can use it by like tenfold. And for it to,
Yeah.
is it even remotely competitive with Unity?
I kind of felt like this was going to be the case. Godot, Unreal, and
Yeah.
then Game Maker. And like Unity being fourth place makes sense there. Godot being first place does make complete sense. Because if you look on Twitter, you go look at the public sentiment, it is just, why would I use that? I'm using Godot. I don't have to pay anyone anything.
Yeah.
Like, because a lot of people who are doing hobby stuff, they don't generally think about like, oh, I'm doing this and I'm going to have to pay that later. They're like, well, I could just use a free tool. It doesn't matter for me. Right. Especially if they
we have
haven't
a lot
fully
of Bevy
explored the
Cope.
limits,
I don't know if you're looking at all the Bevy code, but people are saying there's no level editor yet. That's why Bevy's not popular. I don't know if Bevy could be popular like Godot in the sense that it's a language that's very difficult, and you kind of really have to want that level of difficulty in your game to begin with, and that might not be. I'm curious to see where it goes because I could be wrong. I'm fully willing to be wrong on this one. I just doubt that a lot of people are going to want to take that level of difficulty also while trying to make a game.
Oh, somebody asked, is there a Godot asset store? There's better. There's a Godot asset library, and it's all just in there, and all of them have different licenses on every one of them.
So
for all the stuff. Yeah.
So quick question. Will Godot is Godot going to ever try to make money? In the sense, like, they could actually create their own asset store where they could actually give users the ability to make money, which I think is a net positive for the community. Anytime you can build something where people can make livelihoods on, typically you actually get a nice influx of users, and they already have a huge user pool. So it seems like a ripe way for them to do something. Is this like a goal of Godot, or is it always open source?
I mean, we'd have to ask them.
Okay.
We'd have to ask them. I think it'd be probably the best way to do that. I will say I don't believe that their asset library has any monetization on it. Library monetized. I don't think there is.
Okay, because I always feel like that's it's a great way to support the community. You kind of get a double supporting thing.
Actually, it says right here, can paid assets be uploaded to the asset library? Not to the official one, though in the future there might be other asset libraries which allow it. That said, you are allowed to monetize and sell Godot assets outside the asset library. So the asset library is just for free things, and they curate that and host it, and it has 82 pages of content on it. It's massive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's for the free stuff, but they're like, yeah, go make your own stores, sell stuff on it. So they're actually allowing others to fill that gap if need be, which is pretty interesting.
I like that. I think that could be a very cool business model. I mean, because I just want to see Godot be a success. And I know open source is really, really great, and I really want to support open source, but it's largely a thankless job that's very difficult with a lot of people complaining. So I'd love to see them be able to also create an alternative, income market in which they can really make it into truly Unity 2.0.
Yeah, right now they're getting floated by a lot of people, like just donating and trying to raise awareness for it and everything like that. And it's working quite well, but you and I both know that could dry up anytime. You never know what's going to happen there. Never know what's going to happen there.
It while the news is hot, things will be positive, but in 2-3 years time, things are just always different.
Yeah.
I've seen it with every open source project I've ever worked on.
We've also got a bunch of stuff on HIO. There's things that people have actually posted on Patreon. There's all kinds of stuff for Godot all over the place. So people are monetizing it everywhere. It has created its own kind of economy around the people who use Godot.
Hold on. Someone's saying is they announced it at the start of the year, and they should have more info by the end of the year or the start of next year. Okay, so they are considering potentially, if I can trust, obviously, Twitch chat, that there might be an official type of store, which could be cool. So that's
really
that's great
outside of the asset library. Nice.
If I'm reading that correctly, but I'm fully on board to support that.
Yeah, that's really good. It's really good.
You know what the shocking thing is? That's one of the lesser pieces of news that have happened in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, it is. Actually, did you see the stuff for Annapurna?
I did see the stuff for Annapurna. I've actually never played what's it called, the cat game Wild
Stray.
Stray. There you go.
Yeah.
I never played Outer Wilds, which everyone keeps telling me I have to play that game, and so I don't have like a huge direct interaction with that game studio, but I cannot believe the amount of positive games they've released. It seems like how do you even do that? How do you even
it's not just
release
studio,
that
it's
many
their publishing wing,
games?
dude. That's why.
Yeah.
And it's a big deal. So it's Annapurna Interactive, which is their publishing side. There's actually 24 staff members and the executives. So everybody. And they all
the two
resigned.
directors, what was it? Deborah and Mike Vallon, something like that. Deborah Mars and Mike Vallon quit along with Gary, and I forgot his last name. He's like the executive of the studio.
Yeah, no, it's the reason why this happened actually is apparently they were trying to negotiate to go off on their own, and it fell through, and they just went, cool, done, bye. And all of them left. I guess it was 25 people in total. So 25 staff members and the executive.
Do you know who they were negotiating with?
With the main studio.
But do you know who it was leading the negotiations?
No, I don't.
Her name is Megan Ellison. Does that name sound familiar at all?
Where is that from?
Try looking up maybe with something like L. Ellison. A lawnmower.
What?
Larry Ellison's daughter. Billionaire starter of Oracle.
No way, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. She was the one doing it, and she's the one that pulled out. She actually hired the Epic Games executive Hector Sanchez during the negotiations. They said it's for him to transition Gary out of the role as they separate off, but it's hard for me to believe that when you hire an executive to take place of somebody's role, which means that when you spin off the company, you're planning on redoing that wing, which to me says that it was doomed. It's been doomed for a little while. Like the writing must have been on the wall. That's why the entire staff team left.
Yeah, it says new president Hector Sanchez, one of Annapurna Interactive's co-founders, has reportedly told developers, quote, the company will honor existing contracts and replace staff who have left.
Yeah. I don't think they were planning on letting the spinoff happen. At least at some point, maybe they were at one point, but then they said, no way. So.
Yeah, a few Annapurna published devs who have responded to the news on social media, quote, have said, quote, just for folks asking, we're 100% okay. There's Ivy Rhodes, Davey Redden, director of Tea Brewing, Sim Wandershop. Yeah, no, Wanderstop. So, like, I'm interested to know, like, how this looks 6 months from now, man. Because it's kind of a flashpoint moment, because Annapurna is one of the publishers that I'm like, that's one of the ones I hold in high regard, right? Yeah. There's, like, Hooded Horse, there's Devolver Digital, there's Annapurna. Like, this is kind of shocking to me to see that it just instantly just snapped. And it makes me wonder, like, where are all those people going? Are they starting their own thing now?
What's going to happen that here? The moment this news broke, and probably even before the news broke, Gary, I forget his last name, Gary was probably getting hundreds of calls saying, hey, we'll invest if you do something. You have a huge proof. Like, how many 25 team members get to quit at a time with a track record so strong and somebody well-known in the industry all at the exact same? Like, this is a magic moment probably for them, and they probably already are negotiating. And when you're in that position, they're probably even negotiating with great terms right now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I find that really surprising, though, like, to have that sort of a breakdown. It makes me wonder what the demands were, because they just wanted to spin off and do their own thing, but, like, what was the demand?
I've heard people say creative control, but somehow I doubt that it's just creative control. There had to be a bad work environment. There had to be more to it for people to feel that strongly down to every last dev. Like, because if you was just creative control, you'd think some of the devs would be like, oh, I'll stick around. I like these games. I'll continue to support and work on them. But instead, it's like universally all of them being like, no, we're all going. I don't want to be a part of this. It had to be more than just creative control.
Yeah, no, it'd have to be. And the other thing I'm wondering is they probably didn't want them to spin off on their own because there are rights tied up to this. And if they have publishing rights for all these different games and they spun off on their own and they took the rights away, there's a lot of money in that, dude. Mm-hmm. Like a lot. So I could see the business saying, nope, that's ours. Yeah. So,
and I mean, it's hard to blame them. It'd be really hard to give up a whole bunch of your IP depending on how favorable the terms are. Because even if you have okay terms, it's still very difficult because that could make, that's a large part of how people know your company.
Yeah,
so it's very interesting, that negotiation to begin with. I would have just always assumed that type of stuff is fairly doomed to begin with. It's just such a hard negotiation to do well.
Yeah. I think the biggest problem is this, man. Like, studios and publishers are made by the people inside, not by the name. So what happens going forward is, do they capture that same way of treating developers? Do they capture that same way of being a good publisher? Or did it leave with that team? And I don't know the answer to that. I don't think anyone does. Not yet.
Yeah, that's a 6 months question.
Yeah.
I'd assume at least some of the magic has to go. Just like with Blizzard, when a lot of the core people left, the magic just has to leave too. But can they recreate the magic? They could. I don't think magic is unique to people in the sense that it has to be a culture thing. It has to be the freedom for people to make good decisions. I think a lot of people are talented to make great things. I think most people have more talent than they realize. And if they just had the freedom and ability to do that, they could actually make really good stuff.
No, I agree. I think that's an important thing. And if you give people like a good platform for doing that stuff, like you give them a good environment for going and trying those things, then it can stick with that team. But I'm concerned that because that's more of a top-down thing. You know what I mean? Like the management structure. And if they all left, they likely didn't trust the new management structure in any possible way. Like every
Yeah.
employee leaving, that's a tough thing. That's a
Yeah.
really tough thing. So
I'd effectively agree that my guess is that at one point there was a lot more freedom and a lot more wiggle room, and they're throwing that under the term of creative control, and it's been just shrinking and attempting to ensure that you're always maximizing profits and all that to where they're kind of losing more and more of the ability to do that.
yeah, no, I
That's the
agree.
only thing that it's the only reason why the entire staff has. Oh, I mean, I'm sure there's other reasons, but it just feels so hard because it's the entire staff. It's not just some.
Yeah, and
It's so
it's
unusual.
it. I don't think it would be like a negotiation tactic either, because they were like, "Nope, we're out." Not like we're gonna if you don't.
Yeah.
It's like, well, the cord has been cut. Now what? You know, like no idea what's gonna happen there.
Was there another time that this has happened? I feel like there was one other time that I can even point to an entire department all just saying no and leaving.
It's usually a strike before something like this. Like that's generally the way it goes. A full walkout is pretty unheard of, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when you guys are talking about the Ubisoft strike, right? Yeah, that's a strike though. The strike is we're gonna leave if you don't. This
Yeah.
is just goodbye. So like
Yeah, there's not even like a counter. There's no like, oh, you could win us back. Like, no, goodbye. We don't even want
Yeah.
any counter.
And I think really what it comes down to is they just said we're out, and that's it. Did THQ do a full walkout? Did they? Let me look this up.
Yeah, I thought there was one other company like in 2011 or something that did something similar to this.
Let me see. Yeah, I don't see this anywhere. They filed for bankruptcy in 2012.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a little different than everybody quitting.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know what happened then. What happened with THQ?
This I unfortunately do not know.
Yeah, I don't know. Chat doesn't know either. Maybe it didn't happen. Fix Prime's framing. He keeps wiggling around, dude. He's so far left from where he normally is. What do you want from me? Here, I'm going to slide you over again, and then I'm going to have to manually
I have
reframe
not moved an inch. I'm perfectly right where
Do you know how I know that's a lie? Do you know how I know? Because I actually cut your frame to fit the box that you're in, and I had to recut it just now because you were off the frame. I'm on to you. You're far left.
Stop calling me a far left. You will
It's too
take
late.
that back right now.
It's too late.
I don't know if we're done with this topic. I kind of feel like we are. Is
I
there
think
any
we are.
other big ones in the gaming news?
Because
Because you mentioned something about Ubisoft, right? Didn't they just
yeah.
they're wanting to go private? Is that unfortunately I have not read on this, so you have to explain this to me.
Let me pull this up. Yeah, no, it was Ubisoft. Ubisoft's investor. There was a major investor that wrote a letter that was just pissed about this stock. Have you seen Ubisoft stock over the last year?
When I look, so I did look up Ubisoft's stock, and it just goes to 10 cent.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's like an internal stock one that this time when I searched it up, I actually can get
Yeah.
Ubisoft. The last couple times I've searched it up, it just hasn't been going good. Yeah, but for the last since 2021, it's just been slowly going down.
It's just been going down for the last 5 years. And like if you look at it, it basically hit its peak in like 2018 and then slumped and then came back in 2021. It's just been down, right? And it's down to what, $2.55 now. And in the last year, it was up at a peak of $6.55. So like it's just going down and down and down. And it basically just rolled down a hill in the last month. It went from 376 down to 255 in the last month. And the investor just put it up and was like, there's like, as a significant minority shareholder in Ubisoft Entertainment via AJ Investments and our partners, we are writing to express our deep dissatisfaction with the current performance and strategic direction of the company. The recent quarterly results, which included the postponement of key games like Rainbow Six Siege and The Division into 2025 lineup, and a lowered revenue outlook for quarter 2 2024, have heightened our concerns about the management. Now, about management's ability to deliver value to the shareholders of the long term. I hate this shit. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I hate how much investment has crept into games.
Mm-hmm.
Remember what it used to be about delivering a good game to players and then like, hey, we get to make money because we made a cool game and the players get to play a cool game and then everybody wins? The idea of management's ability to deliver value to shareholders, God, that shit's stupid. I hate that so much. I wish all of that was out of the gaming space, dude. And I understand that for these massive budget games, there's no real way to escape it. I understand that completely, but god damn is that gross to read. Legitimately.
Yeah, because I have this like love-hate relationship just generally with public markets. The lovely part about public markets is that anybody who invested in like pretty much 5 years ago and beyond has been able to make money and acquire wealth. It's been one of the greatest transfers of wealth to the common person ever created. But it also creates a very perverse incentive, allowing profits to be number one. And that creates really crappy conditions. It's why we have the enshittification generally of the internet is that you're racing towards profits, not towards quality.
Yeah.
That's
And
why
profits doesn't mean
yeah,
accurate. Profits doesn't mean good. Profits just means lots,
yeah, it just means money,
more.
which is very frustrating kind of and especially in a really highly creative space because it's one thing about say like Amazon who creates companies or creates products for developers to build on such as AWS. In some sense, their public pursuit of investment makes more sense because it's just a really expensive operation. And I get that with really large games, but at the exact same time, games are significantly more creative, which require people to take time to really think about what do they want to express. And it's just not the same kind of I wouldn't put it in the same category as something like Amazon. And I think it just creates really bad incentives of, what goes in versus what goes out.
Yeah.
It
No,
does
that
make
makes
me
sense
sad too.
completely. It makes sense completely. And like I think that's the biggest problem, right? You've just got this weird incentive to just get as much sales as possible, which causes them to make strange decisions about how they design games and make strange decisions about how they release games. And then you get into this weird spot where it's like, well, we need to maximize profitability. Well, how do we do that? Well, we push the games out faster, so there's more of them. Well, what if the game
Yeah.
sucks? Well, you make another game really fast. So what if that game sucks? And you just start getting this weird chain of kind of like half-assed video games until like there's no one left buying them, and then you move on to the next one, you liquidate, and you go on. And it's like not really the right direction, I think.
And then not only that, they kind of do these things that feel really dishonest. You hire economists who can give you the exact curve in which humans tend to exhibit the most addictive behaviors to be able to siphon out the most amount of money. Because again, when it's all profits driven and you're reporting to shareholders, you need to go stocks go up, right? So you're just like, we need to maximize how much loot crates we can get in this quarter. How do we do it? Well, we need to kind of give them this amount of money, just give them a little bit of taste of it. And it's just like it's very frustrating.
It's worse than that too, though, because when you have this kind of an environment, you're basically incentivizing maximizing risk because you want to make bigger bets just so you can make bigger amounts of money. And when you maximize that kind of risk, when you keep making bigger and bigger and more expensive projects with a lot more assets, a lot more money thrown into it, you have a larger chance to lose. And if you look at some of the losses that they had over the last couple of years, like you've got Star Wars Outlaws. Like I don't think that's done very well. I haven't seen anything on it that's been good for that. Like a lot of people have not been happy with that. X Defiant. How many of you guys played X Defiant? Did anyone here play X Defiant? Kind of imploded, yeah? Yeah, a lot of people are just saying, ugh.
That's not a good
What was that?
that's
Never heard
not
of
a
it.
good look.
Yeah, tried it for a day. Yeah, so like when you're looking at this, they're making these big bets. They're trying to make these really big things, and they're not panning out. Usually what I would see is from a studio that has that, you'd make a bunch of smaller bets, kind of smaller games, test the water, and then make a big game when you've built up enough capital to do that. But that's not really how the investment strategy world works. It's more bigger, and then you're dead because you made too many big bets and they didn't pan out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think this is where a
Conqueror.
lot of the
Ugh.
live service games get a lot of bad rap from is this entire problem that's going on here. Because there's been plenty of great live service games. I've greatly enjoyed Diablo 2 with its live service aspect. I even liked Diablo 3. Okay. I was one of the few people that enjoyed Diablo 3 and playing through it and having fun. And so I think a lot of the aspects of that, of just the general negativity comes from this just ever increasing demand for profits. I
Yeah.
think that is hurting an entire area. I know people are booing me for saying I liked Diablo 3. I'm sorry.
I like Diablo 3. I think Diablo 3 after Reaper of Souls came out was good. I think Diablo
Yeah.
3 when we launched it was ass. And I was on the QA team when we launched Diablo 3 and it was ass. We knew it was ass. Like it was,
Yeah, but it was a couch multiplayer that I got to sit down with three of my best friends and play in
eventually.
my house and did all no
Eventually.
on launch. You
No.
could do couch multiplayer on Xbox. And so I did couch multiplayer on just me and my three
You
friends.
could play it, but it wasn't good on
Okay,
launch.
it crashed a couple times. That's not a big deal. I
It
still got
wasn't
to play
about
as, like,
crashing. It was about you
magic
got
moments for
your
me.
you got your entire butt handed to you on any of the higher difficulties. It was just impossible to play.
Yeah, we
It
didn't
was
we
a
didn't do the
nightmare.
higher difficulties. We just
Yeah.
enjoyed the game because I love the story and the experience. So we beat it all in one night, stayed up all
Did
night and played it.
did you enjoy
With
Error
great sc-
Error 37? Wait a minute, you like the story of Diablo 3?
I have this thing where my nostalgia makes me ignore all the bad points of everything.
I'm going to tell you right now. Diablo 3 before Reaper of Souls had the worst story of any of the Diablo.
Don't make fun of Tyrael, okay? Or just the old dad that flies from skies. Okay, it just doesn't matter, okay? It was the fact that I got to relive part of my childhood in a new form, and I just liked it no matter whatever I
Dude
thought. I just
killed Cain in a cutscene. He didn't even
I
get a
know.
cinematic. He didn't even get a cinematic.
Dude, he died right away. I was very sad about that.
I'm never gonna respect that. Prime, I'm gonna die. Diablo's my favorite IP. Diablo 3 was a travesty until Reaper of Souls. Reaper of Souls was great.
This is how hardcore I am. I watched the entire first season of Rings of Power. Okay, when something has my love for it, I'll stick it out till the end because I want it to be good.
Oh, so you're just like I'm gonna put on the rose-tinted goggles. I'm gonna snap them to my face and just Diablo 3 is good, but it's bad. Yeah, but it's good. It's good.
Yeah, but you know what this led me to? I also didn't really play Diablo 4.
Well, Diablo 4, I think the problem with it's got an identity crisis, man. Like, I love Diablo. I played Diablo 4 on launch pretty hard. The itemization was really weird. They've got some cool ideas with how items change the way that your character plays, something that feels like old Diablo 2, which was nice. And the way that the talent trees and stuff work is very clever. I like that. The Paragon board is quite cool.
Oh, I like that a lot.
A lot of playability in there. But I think the one thing Diablo 4 has nailed right now is story. It is grimdark fantasy open world Diablo. And I think that the rest of it just needs to catch up to that. Because like at the same time, you could go play Grim Dawn. You could play Last Epoch. You could play these other ones that kind of have really good feeling right now. But if Diablo 4 can really make the gameplay and itemization catch up to that story, it's going to be a powerhouse. And I think if you look back in Diablo's history, you'll find Diablo 3 actually did really, really well when it hit Reaper of Souls. You found Diablo 2 did really, really well and then did even better when it released the expansion. So it's like, is Diablo 4 going to get saved by the expansion? Is it going to get really good during the expansion? I don't know. But that'd be the time for it to win, you know?
Okay. Hey, I'm willing to revisit and put on those rose-colored tinted glasses once more and enjoy it. I don't know. The problem is that I know Blizzard has been on a losing streak, but they were the coolest place when I was a young guy. So I always, it's hard for me to go back and visit those things. And I just want them to win.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard for me not to. I don't know what happens to me.
No, it makes sense. Makes sense completely.
Warcraft 2 was just so special, especially when they did BattleNet, when they just released that and I had my own elo and be able to go up the ladder and all that. It was a magical point in time. In fact, I'd largely attribute to one of the reasons why I got into development is because I could build my own maps.
Because you build your own maps? Dude, I mean, like, that's Warcraft 3. That's Warcraft 2.
Warcraft 2, you could even do it. Yeah, they had a really, but it made me, like, think through building stuff, and, like, I could actually do that.
I think
that was very exciting.
I love games with editors. I think that's really, like, a winner for me.
Yeah.
If you can make a game with a map editor and have it so that players can kind of define their own objectives, your game will live forever. Straight up. Like that is the way to make a game live forever. It's really, really cool, honestly. Meet Your Maker is kind of like that, but you can't define your own objective, right? The objective is always to get in, get out, and live. Like if you look at Warcraft, let's look at Warcraft 3's editor, right?
Yeah, Warcraft 3 was awesome. Holy cow.
Super easily accessible. Players can make a map and they can define their own objective. You can make a map that is a storyline. You can make a map that's a tower defense. You can build Dota in it, right? That's where it came from.
That's how Dota got built.
So like that's the kind of thing is you build a map where you allow people to define their own objective. Yeah. I mean, so that's important.
That type of gaming is so sticky that there is a game, Roblox, that literally is just a level editor.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's all Roblox is just a level editor, and it's one of the most popular games of all time.
Yeah, no, that makes sense completely. Roblox is actually really good for that. I think a lot of people dunk on Roblox because there's, it's like any other public forum. You got to watch your kids, make sure that they're being safe, right? That's the biggest thing. But it's a great space if you are with your kids to make things together. It's like, it's like when you guys are talking about Gmod, it's like what we had Gmod when we were growing up. It's like do whatever the hell you want with it,
Yeah.
And like Roblox is really, really good for that, for like younger people right now, as long as there's parental supervision, because you don't want to let your kid just be out of the internet. It's a bad idea. It's not
it's a bad
safe.
place. It's never been a good place.
Yeah.
All right, well, hey, I don't know if you know this, Thor, but a new OpenAI model was just dropped.
I don't know anything about this. Tell me about this.
It's called okay, first off, the naming scheme. I'm just going to let you guess what the next one is. So it started off with ChatGPT 2, then ChatGPT 3, GPT-3 Turbo, or no, GPT-4, GPT-4 Turbo. I
I
think there's
hate
a three
all
and
of
a half
this.
in there. Just
All
hold. Then
this.
there is GPT-4o. What's the next one?
Are you saying Jippity instead of GPT?
It's so much easier to say.
I
Like
hate you
honestly,
so much.
I don't have time in the world to say GPT, so I just say Jippity. It's just nice. It flows right off the tongue. And you can also call it Yappity because that's just all it's doing is just yapping.
Yeah,
So
but so what are they calling this shit
okay,
already?
so
Like,
yeah, so we went 2, 3, 3.5, 4, 4T, 4O. What's the next one?
are they actually doing 5?
No, it's O1.
What?
Yeah.
They're just rolling all the way back.
Yeah. 4O is less than O1. If you don't know your math, of course. That's pretty natural.
Why are they doing this? Why are they doing this?
You know, they probably let Jippity 4 name it.
Are
What's
they still
greater
having
than
that problem where
4O?
the answers are getting worse as it goes? They still having that problem?
Well, they made a huge they have made a huge improvement in a lot of things. They can now successfully answer how many R's are in silhouette. If you did not know, in 4.0 just 2 days ago, it said there's 1 R in silhouette.
It also said there was 2 R's in strawberry.
Yes. So as their example, they had to decode a string. It's something that, in fact, the example is actually really cool. They actually showed a cipher translation of a block of characters to another block of characters, then decode this one. And the cipher was actually pretty clever. And the answer to the cipher was there's 3 R's in strawberry. And so I mean, they did self-own themselves. It was pretty like kind of cutesy, like, hey, we recognize that the other one wasn't as good. But the new 1.0 model is doing better in coding competitions. We don't know the exact rules and how they did. They definitely cut some corners. One of the corners they cut in this Math Olympiad one is that they got 50 submissions per answer, and they did, I think, 49th percent or something like that. They did middle of the pack, but if you did 50 submissions in the real actual competition, you would have been taken out by 25. You would not even be allowed to play anymore. You'd actually be out of the Olympiad of information, whatever it was called.
So they
They
let
kind of
it
cheated, but they did better than they did the last time they cheated.
they allowed it to submit 50 answers per question.
Yes.
And
And
it
they were
only
even
got
able to do better when they did 10,000 submissions per question.
Oh my god.
They actually ranked one of the best, gold medalist.
You're going to have it like this is the same shit I was talking about before. Is like, yeah, it takes 20 seconds to give you an answer that's wrong.
Yeah. It's definitely much better, but it's still all the examples they gave and everything that's going on is still such narrowly defined things
Yeah.
that for them to even grow at all would just be so much vast in like computational complexity that yeah, maybe it can solve quicksort better now. Maybe it can solve a bulleted list item on creating a quick bash script better now. But at the end of the day, it still isn't solving anything bigger than that. So if you rely on these tools heavily, you'll be really good at getting something to spit out small answers, but you still have to build the thing. Like nothing has actually changed other than potential wait time and maybe how many attempts you get it to spit out the correct small answer.
I honestly think that the biggest use of AI isn't what we're using it for right now. I think
What's the biggest use?
I think everybody's caught up in this really weird idea of let's build generative images of meme images on the internet and let's
Yeah.
get it to try to do complex programming stuff. Honestly, I think we should just use it as a better form of automation, and you can use that specifically in the medical field much better for image scanning, like detection of anomalies, things like that. Phenomenal use of this comparative to any other solutions that we have right now, and they've started doing that, and it is very effective. But like, I think we're going in a weird direction with this right now, this tech, and I think there's so much better use served in those directions. The medical field is just a better direction. And it's
Yeah.
super weird to watch that everybody is focusing on specifically, let's make it be a shitty programmer. I'm like, why do you want it to be a shitty programmer? I can just get an intern and have them be the shitty programmer. Like, what's the point of this? Put it in the medical field and start funding that because that's where real change is actually going to be made and where it's going to matter, like a lot. You know,
Yeah.
if you can get early cancer detection because it's detecting something that other systems can't, that's a big deal. That's a huge deal. You
Yeah,
know?
that'd be a real win.
Even things like if you take large data sets and you start finding associations with that, like if you did folding at home, but you did it with that, you know, like that's a massive deal because you can find solutions to serious problems that we have been throwing computing power at for ages and have been unable to solve. And instead we're, you know, building a meme image with it and making it a shitty programmer. Yeah. It's very odd.
There's actually I have one other use case that I find to be very great, and it's great for devs. I kind of talked about this last time, building like a game server scaling type thing, and I was using Fly.io, and they have a lot of docs, and I was kind of perusing through the docs, and I could see how you could make requests to kind of spawn off new machines and all that. So I kind of generally knew that I need to hit some endpoints to scale out the machines. I generally knew that there were like curling requests that I could make to spawn them or take them down. But what I was struggling with was like, okay, what are all the ones? What parameters do I need? Because the documentation was kind of sparse. So I just went to OpenAI and said, hey, give me an example of creating a machine on Fly.io using curl. Boom, spit it all out and said, hey, just make sure your token's here, this is here. And I was like, oh, okay, give me the links to that exactly. They gave me the links exactly. And I read through them like, okay, here's the tabulated data. Oh, yes. Okay, now that I see it here, yeah, I can rewind to here. Oh, this is really good. I find it's really great at doc summarization. It
Yes.
can read the manual and then create you examples based off the manual. Mind you, sometimes it lies. Sometimes it's like, oh, this method exists. And then you use it and it's like, that method does not exist at all. So there is that danger. But nonetheless, documentation's like example creation and summarization is like super amazing characteristic of LLMs. I really like that.
I think it's really good for read this to me like I'm 5, right? Yeah, I think that's really what it is you take any subject matter and you say, I want you to summarize this in this sort of a style, which is a style that's easier for me to understand, whatever it's going to be. It's good
Yeah.
for that. And I think that's good for an average user, no matter who they are.
Yeah.
I wish there was more money being put into specifically the medical side, because I know there's advancements being made in medical, but I wish there was more money being put into that. And to the degree that we're seeing so much in like, again, let's make it a shitty programmer, right? You know?
That's the world we live in. But Jippity 4 or 01, gosh, Jippity 01 is better than it's ever been. But I think that I know I'm going to get a whole new wave of is it worth it now? Nothing's genuinely changed.
Yeah.
It's still in the, you're going to get slightly better results, but if it didn't work before, it's not the same now. You're fine.
Chat has been activated. They're calling it Jippity Toilet. Nice.
Let's go. Nothing like that
Nice.
Jippity toilet aura. It's just emanating right now.
Yeah, to be honest with you, AI is pretty much bullshit right now. So don't
Yeah.
trust AI. Yeah.
Sorry, I know this is my weekly let's bring up AI and talk about it, but there was a big event and it's pretty cool. I mean, I always appreciate it in a sense that it creates something novel. Like I love the fact that it told me there's an R in silhouette and then actually created me a picture. Here, I'll actually send you the picture. It's the greatest picture ever of just why it's fun because of how weird it is. And for
Yeah.
me, that's just like that's fun. And it can just do weird things and I can kind of explore it in this weird way. But now
For art generation.
just for kind of anything. Like you can just ask it really weird questions and just see weird answers. There you go. I just sent you an image. You can pull that up if you'd like to. It's just funny. When I asked it, where's the R in silhouette? That's what it gave me. It didn't even tell me. It made a picture.
What is this? What is that?
Well, it's 2 large R's and a finger pointing to one of them, or a third R down below saying that's where the R is in silhouette. Like that's just funny. Like there's actually a really good joke there. So it's kind of I love almost the inaccuracy weirdness of it all.
It's just so dumb.
It's just so dumb, right? Like that's what made it fun. And so I feel like as this actually leaves, I might find AI just less enjoyable, generally speaking, because it kind of loses some of that just the absurdity of it all.
I guess. I mean that's fine though, because if it's meant to do something more than just be absurd humor, right? Like
Yeah.
we can make some absurd humor if we want to, but like, you want me to show it? Oh, God damn it.
Yeah, you got to show it. Here's what I think is the best take. I think TJ, do you know Teach TV?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He made this really great take, which is when OpenAI actually creates a real model that can solve real world problems, you won't hear about it. The companies that you love will start getting competitors created by OpenAI.
Yep.
That's when it's real. Because they're not going to just sell you a tool. They'll just go, "Oh, I can just make it now." Done, made. Right? You're not going to hear. Your employer will hear about it. That's who's going to be the people hearing about it. Until that day, they're going to continue to sell it to you because it's not worth it to actually make something real yet.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can understand that completely.
Did your chat
It's kind of-
enjoy that beautiful image?
I'm getting the image because I don't have the screen set up to do this. We got to get like a share screen out here.
Yeah, that would be good.
There you go. Imgur link. Enjoy
No,
that.
it's just a thing of beauty. You'll forever love that. Hang it up on your wall.
That's where AI thinks the R is in silhouette. The
Yeah.
3
And
R's
it's pretty
in
accurate.
silhouette.
But 01 did correctly identify there was no R in silhouette. So it has improved.
So it's figured out one mundane ass task, which is strawberry doesn't have 2 R's in it, and
It in
silhouette
fact
has
has
no
3.
R's in it.
They have caught up to they've caught up to the world's easiest programming problem. How many values are in this array of
Yes.
this value?
It's catching up, dude. Like, every time I hear about this shit, they're like, wow, it's such an advancement. I was like, yeah, it totally made a better triangle for a wheel this time. That's great. Yeah,
This triangle's unmatched. It's 2 triangles. Now it has 6 edges.
yeah, it's ridiculous.
Significantly
to watch.
better wheel.
And like, I know that it's going in a direction that may be very impressive later. But as it currently stands, it is not suited for these tasks. And I feel like it's just much better for other things, much, much better. Which I guess they're trying to be pioneers. They're trying to push it in a direction where it will matter in the future. But I can't find the value in this right now.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Well, you also have the inverse problem, which is it's costing hundreds of billions and it's going to cost even more in the future. But they're making $40 per person.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It's going to collapse,
You're going to have all humans using it, but then you're also saying it's going to take place. It's going to help one human be 10x more valuable, which fundamentally means you're going to the amount of humans using it will just fundamentally shrink. Thus, where's the money coming from, buddy?
Yep. I think that's really what it comes down to is you've got a bubble. It feels like an AI bubble where everyone's just pouring money into it, hoping it's going to go somewhere with no sort of end in sight, because this is going to be another one of those things where it relies on a breakthrough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The forever breakthrough. It'll get there. Don't worry. There you go. That's for me. That's one of the only ones I wanted. There's another story I wanted to go over, but unfortunately, I haven't read through it and thought about it. But do you know the data structure tree, a retrieval tree? They call it a tree. It's unfortunately called a tree, or just a tree for short. TRIE.
What are you talking about specifically here?
Cloudflare improved the performance of a tree, a TRIE.
Oh, okay.
And it improved the entire performance by 1%. Now remember, they take in a third of the internet.
Yeah.
So that improvement is just giant. If you can improve the entire internet by 1%, that's giant.
That's a huge deal. Yeah, it's a huge deal.
Cloudflare, a Cloudflare percentage improvement is actually a thing you should celebrate. Unfortunately, I haven't gone through it yet, but I know that it's on the way. It's called A Good Day to Trie Hard.
Yeah, I'm looking
very,
at the
very funny.
Look at the article right now. There you go.
So I think that there's some pretty cool stuff that this
2024 we can't stop DDoS. You're right. You know why, right? Denial of service is an attacker's game. Defender is always going to use more points in terms of processing power than the attacker. You're always going to lose DDoS. That's how that works.
Yeah.
The only thing you can do is have more hardware than the attacker does. Like having more throughput is the way to do it. And these types of advancements are how you win that engagement. So when you're like, there's no defense against that. Okay, cool. There isn't.
Yeah.
The only thing you could do is just have more, and this is how you have more. Yeah.
And not only that, a lot of attacks sometimes are just a good old-fashioned single call that figures out how to take down your service. That even all this stuff, all your best attempts, a simple DOS, not even a distributed DOS, just a simple one, will just destroy everything anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people don't realize how much Internet of Things are leveraged for that as well. Out-of-date devices that just end up being, publicly accessible on the internet, and those are used in that kind of shit. There's so many botnets for that stuff, man. It's just such a mess. And they're like, it's always funny to me because people are like, oh no, it's going to be, you should be able to defend against DDoS, like you're talking about there. But it's billions of devices. It's not just like one or two. It's not just a few thousand. It's billions of devices. It's a massive amount. What's your suggestion to limit DDoS? There isn't one. Just have more points than the attacker. That's it. That's all you can do. You need to have load balancers. You need to have like a wide network profile. You need to be able to have other mitigation effects, anything you can. But you have to think about this. Let's just use a really shitty model, not even a good one, right? On the defensive side, you have to take in the request. You have to see if it's valid. Let's say you have a publicly facing thing, such as a login form, right? You have to take in the request. You have to see if it's valid. You have to output a response to the user. And if it's an actual valid request, you have to check to see if it's in cache or maybe in the database, which would be less optimal, to see if it's the correct credentials from the user. Now imagine you get suddenly billions of requests. What does the attacker do? Send request. They don't have to do all that extra stuff that has to be done on your end. So just thinking about it in a very basic terms, the defender uses more mana than the attacker does to cast that spell, man. Which means you can just do that 5 times on the attacker side and the defender can only do it once. You get overwhelmed immediately, every time. And the only thing you do on the defense side is make it more efficient, using less mana to catch the spell, like they just did with Cloudflare here. The fact that they reduced the cost by 1% is enormous. over time. That's huge. So like the more that they can do this type of stuff, the better. Yeah.
By the way, on the IoT thing, we
Hmm.
have a nightlight for our kids, and for whatever reason, they had to do it. You could link it up to your phone to change the colors. And
No.
now it's being recalled because, of course, it's attack vector.
Yeah, of course it's an attack
2 years
vector.
later, it turns
Get
out
that shit out.
botnet. It's just like, dude, did you really need
Dude, this is
a
the
light
worst
to have
part of it.
Wi-Fi?
There's a botnet in your kid's nightlight. Like, god damn it, dude. That's why I hate this shit. Oh god, it's the
Speaking
worst.
of DDoS, have you seen Games UI database? Their last few weeks of struggle.
Have they been hit?
Yeah, they got hit.
Seriously?
A huge one. A massive one, in fact. It's 2 weeks
Why?
of what they said was a DDoS attack.
But why?
Do you know what it was?
What?
OpenAI's scraper got stuck on their homepage and kept requesting 200 to 300 times a second their homepage over and over and over again.
Really?
The world's most advanced AI got stuck on a homepage. They got defeated by a href.
I hate the way you say things. What do you mean a href?
A href.
I hate-
How else
oh.
would you say that?
I don't know.
A-R-E-E.
I've
No.
always said HREF. I've always, god damn it,
A href.
a href. In my head it says that. You don't say it out loud. I'm gonna say, you've poisoned it.
Oh, I poison all the things.
God
This
damn
is so
it.
good.
So it really
Yeah,
got
so
stuck
Tiffany
on the
was-
front page. It's just been shitting on it the whole time.
Yeah, for the literal mitigation from this was to block OpenAI's IP.
That's insane.
That's how they got around this. It was 2 weeks of them just getting hit so hard they actually started getting 502 bad
That's
gateways.
insane. That's an insane problem to have. What the hell, man?
Yeah,
Well,
like think if Game UI database made money, OpenAI would have just genuinely hurt their business model. Luckily, they're just a free and open source software to help make people to make really nice and amazing games. And instead, they were down for weeks, and people were really mad. And it also cost him what was it? Let me look for the exact thing. It was they were transferring 70 gigabytes of data from their server every 10 minutes, which was cost them about 850 pounds a day just to
That's a lot of
scrape the
data.
homepage over and over and over and over again.
and I bet if they leave it alone, if they don't try to mitigate it, got worse too. I bet
Yeah.
anything because it just keeps getting bigger. Yeah, no, that's dumb, dude. That's dumb. I'm amazed. I'm not that amazed. It's AI. What a
What's
mess.
so amazing is it happened to be the world's most advanced AI that couldn't get past the homepage of a
It's like-
simple project that you can go and use for free.
What is it? What is that comic? There's like an old comic.
XKCD. It's always
No, it's not
XKCD.
XKCD. It's not XKCD. It's
Really?
older than that. It's older than that. It's like super old comic. It's this really like older comic. They used to have these things like animal preserves, and it was like a bunch of animals like on a Serengeti, but they were like in jars. Let me find this.
Homestar Runner?
It's Wildlife Preserves by Gary Larson. Let me see if we can find this. Found it. Yeah, Gary Larson's comics. So like there's this one that he has, and it's just this kid with a bunch of books, and he's like pushing on a door, and it's like School for the Gifted, right? But it says pull door, and that's ChatGPT right now doing this. It's like super brilliant AI stuck on a homepage. Like, all right, fantastic, dude. Fantastic.
That one wouldn't be that one would be funny if it wasn't so painful. Okay, hey, getting stuck on a pull door is
It's rough, dude.
it's especially when they make it so obvious when it's one of the push horizontal handles.
It's Far
and
Side
not one
Comics,
of
that's
the
what it
vertical
was.
ones. Yeah, Far Side. And you do that? Oh, I've done it.
Dude, I miss
I've done
Farside
it.
Comics. It's good shit.
Yeah, Thor's wrong. It's the design issue of the door. Really, that made
Is
That
that
made
where
it
we're at? That's
yeah.
where we're at now? All right.
you're wrong.
I'm glad that Chad is coping for the door. It's good. It's ridiculous. Yeah, Farsight comics are awesome. They're absolutely fantastic, to be real with you. Yeah, no, that's wild to hear though. Honestly,
Yeah.
I think that's rough that they got hit like that. That really, really sucks.
And it creates
there
a
gonna
very
be-
interesting incentive there, which is how do you stop OpenAI from scraping? This obviously open source project that's run purely on charity. I don't think they've taken in any money. I don't think anyone very rarely, if anything, donates to them. There's no mentions of that throughout this whole article. But
I think more than that, who pays the bill?
obviously that person pays the bill. Whoever's running game database or game UI database pays the bill. Not OpenAI ain't paying it. And they don't respect robots.txt. They publicly state they do not respect robot.txt
Why?
because LLMs are considered God. Duh. They're
No,
not a
that's-
robot.
That's ridiculous, dude. Like that's ridiculous. That's an attack on the website. Like you specifically have robots.txt there to stop automation to say you're not allowed to do this.
Yeah,
That's
that would
wild
be the
to
whole
me.
point.
Do you actually have the thing where they state that they don't respect robots.txt? Do you have that?
Yeah, hold on.
This is going to be another legal hurdle is what it's going to turn into because that did real financial damage to them.
Let's see. Hold on. They say here, after modifying the robot.txt, which OpenAI can just ignore if they wish, I explicitly blocked all the OpenAI ones. I swear I just saw this yesterday or 2 days ago. We were going over this OpenAI robots.txt. I'd have to find this, but they don't have no one has to respect robots.txt. Robot.txt is in fact not a binding
Oh no, it's not.
document.
It's just it leads to extra shit. It's like you ignored robots.txt. You're a publicly known entity, which means people can find you, and you caused financial damage to the owner of the website. Like it starts to build a narrative, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
not a
I'd be
good
interested.
narrative.
I'd be interested to know if they could take any type of legal recourse, or if they're trying to, because that's a lot of money, dude. $850 a day.
I would assume the only real legal recourse you have is it has to be through some sort of class action lawsuit. Because as an individual, 850 pounds a day, I mean, even if you went on for a week, is $8,000 worth trying to sue one of the world's largest companies? I mean, you're going to pay $100,000 in legal fees before you get through it. So it has to be one of these kind of group efforts, or pray the EU comes up with some sort of enforceable measures that thus puts enough onus for them to change.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I don't think that's going to happen, to be honest.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, I don't think so at all.
People are surprised that robot.txt isn't standardized or isn't. There is no legal It's like the cookie banner. You don't actually need to show a cookie banner. That's a misinterpretation, and people just throw up that cookie banner. There's no actual enforcing law that says put up a cookie banner. People just put it up. That's not the point of law. Just like the robots.txt, there actually is no rule or law that says you have to respect said robot.txt.
I mean, even if there was a law that said that, who'd be enforcing it, right? Who's going to enforce that? The government? Which government? Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be
For
an
those
EU
that are
law
wondering,
thing.
people are arguing saying the EU law says you can't do the cookies. You must get consent for non-essential cookies in the EU.
Correct.
Essential is the key word.
That is correct. That's why it always has the option of saying, no, I don't want extra cookies, or yes, I want extra cookies.
Yeah.
It doesn't say I want none. It's like only have essential ones.
Yeah. So if people just don't even put it on there, they can just say all of these are essential for you to have the experience on this. Like, I mean, and then the entire argument would be so hard to actually derive any sort of real conflict there that is going to allow any sort of legal action to be taken.
Yeah, it's funny, like, Chad is sitting there being like, the government. Or you could just block the IPs. You know, like that whole conversation we had earlier today, which is when you see someone being a shit on the internet and you don't like what they're doing, you block them and then you walk away.
Yeah. Liberally use the mute button if you don't want to be aggressive, or go straight for the block button on Twitter if you want to. Like, it just doesn't even matter, because you just don't you don't have to let other people dictate things for you.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. 100%. Don't be a passenger in your own life. Definitely do not.
Real.
Well, I think it's about it.
Yeah.
You got anything else?
That's all I came with, were those fun stories, which unfortunately none of them were really that fun of stories.
No, I think they're pretty good. I think it's cool to talk about that shit. I didn't know that about OpenAI taking such a weird direction, you know. And it's always fun to talk about, like, current events and stuff in tech anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's just sad the state. That's what I meant by unfun. It makes me a little sad that things aren't. It feels like this set of a week wasn't like, look at these great, like last week we got to talk about like Space Marines, and it was fun. I had a lot of fun, you know.
Space Marine's doing really well, by the way.
Is it still living up to its hype?
Yeah, I've been enjoying it. In fact, they've got, over the next 3 months, they're going to be releasing difficulty level 5, and I just finished difficulty level 4 on every one of the missions. So
nice.
That's where we're at. Yeah.
All right. Did you get all the classes upgraded?
No. Kronos has like half of them done. I have 2 of them done. So getting there.
Dang. Nice.
Yeah, man.
That's pretty good. That's really good on Kronos, too. That's a lot.
Yeah, he's just been hammering it.
He's being a true space marine, a true brother Kronos.
For the Emperor.
Nice. Well, hey, this is where you're supposed to say, this is Hack.
This is Hack.
This is Stache.
We got to work on that.
The outro is just terrible.
The outro. It's because we're AI, right?
If only I had the cleverness of a hallucinating AI.
Couldn't be. Here, I could just make you small again.
You know, no one ever actually needed to do that. Hey, we haven't released any set images that you perhaps linked to me, right?
How you doing there, Smologen? What's it like all the way down there?
Honestly, I just feel like I have such a huge space to work with.
You only code in like size 5 font now, right?
It's big, proportionally.
It's enormous.
Okay. It's enormous. You know how many pixels 5 is?
Oh, it's so big. I like how you have me as one of your emotes.
Well, it's sus, okay?
It's a great emote because you said you were me, And so
It's
now I'm
very
using
funny.
you saying you were me as you.
Oh God, it's
Right?
funny as shit. Yeah, but now this is it's true. I am you now when I wear that mustache. It's like
You are.
it's like you from Timo, dude.
It's Timu Timu me.
Timo Jed.
Too bad.
Well,
All
I'm
right.
actually going to go to sleep after this,
Go to sleep.
so I'm going to end the stream early because
Okay.
I didn't sleep last night.
Yeah, I'm gonna end the stream too because I got some things I gotta take care of.
All
Did you
right.
know that I forgot my wife's our anniversary, and so I have a date night we're doing tonight. So I'm very excited. 13
Is the
years.
date night like hosted from your couch? Like, how did you survive?
Oh,
what happened?
she sort of forgot to.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that's
She
fine.
just forgot less than me.
You got a comfy couch at least?
Such
I
a
would
great
invest.
couch.
I would invest.
It's such
in
a
that.
great couch. It's so romantic.
I'm glad that you got saved by your wife also forgetting the anniversary.
You know, now
I don't think she forgot.
I don't think so either.
I think she was trying to be
coping.
nice to you.
I'm coping right now. Okay, I just want you to know.
I think she was trying to be nice to you. Oh,
Well, this has
man.
been good. I do hope we see a nice resurgence generally in the gaming industry. It does feel
Yeah.
like everyone it just seems like so much negative press and people saying it's over. It's over in the gaming industry. But somehow I feel like it also is one of the greatest times ever to make great indie games. I think
it
people
is.
are hungry
Yeah.
and they're thirsty for some good stuff.
I think it is. I think one of the biggest things for me is it is the best time in history to go and make video games. And you don't have to worry about, being good at it. You don't have to worry about writing good code or making good art or anything like that. It is the best time for you to just sit down and make something shitty and learn from it
Yeah.
and do that. Before this, you'd be restricted by hardware. Like if you wanted to do it when I was growing up, you want to make a game for Nintendo, good luck. You'd have to go and make it on hardware, and then that was a mess in and of itself, and distribution and everything. Now you'd be like, I'm going to shit something out on an itch.io, and like anyone in the world can play it, give you feedback.
Yeah.
It's
And then not
amazing
only that,
time for this.
Godot hands you an engine, be like, would you like a nice engine to run on?
And it's free, and you can just
Yeah.
do it from there. And like you can just use GameMaker to make 2D games. You can just go use RenPy if you want to make like a visual novel. Like there's so many different choices available. And like people try to focus on this as some kind of get rich quick scheme, but it's not. It's you just get to be creative. We have a canvas for you to make things on now, which didn't exist 10 years ago. So it's a pretty wild place, for making stuff. And I do think I think the one thing that I've been seeing on the rise, and I just keep talking about this with the community, is there's so much negativity and animosity towards game devs right now. And it has been kind of compounding over time. And I think it's because there's a lot of other talking heads on the internet that sort of encourage that behavior of like shit on game developers, treat game developers badly. But the way that I look at it is this, right? If you commissioned an artist for a piece of art and the artist came back to you and said, hey, some stuff is going on, I need another month, right? And you go, don't worry about it. Right? Most people will be like, don't worry about it. I understand. Thanks for letting me know. Right? For an artist, why when a game dev comes back and says, hey, we need another month to work on the game, do people shit all over the ceiling and scream? It's the same. It's the exact same scenario. But people lose their minds when that happens. And it blows me away. Blows me away every time.
Yeah, and there's also when games come out half-baked, they don't come out well and all that, they also get blamed. For time, blamed. Lazy devs. When things come out incorrect, they just wanted money. It's just like, well, which one do you want, man? Well, what is it? What do you want? And a lot of times these decisions aren't even made by any of the devs. They're made by execs. They're made by things that higher up. There's directors that come in and tell game devs they can't do certain aspects. And so they can't even do the things they want to do to begin with.
Yeah. What is this? That's a weird take. Should we be lenient on them so they get used to leniency? What do you think you're training a dog?
It's Pavlov's
what is
dogs,
it?
clearly.
What does that take, dude? You think
When
you're like
say
training
take
a
another
dog
month,
with
they
that?
drool. It's
Be
just
like, oh
that's
yeah,
how it works.
we shouldn't be lenient on them because then they'll learn how to be lenient. Dude, they're individual human beings, not one gigantic machine all making the games for you. It's different companies. It's different devs. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird as shit, dude. I hate
I'm a
stuff
big fan
like
of
that.
Pavlov's engineers. They're my favorite types of engineers.
I'm going to Pavlov the gaming industry. No, do you want to know how you do that? Do you want to know how you change the gaming industry? Stop buying games from game developers that treat you as a player like shit. That's it.
Best way. It's the only way.
It's the only way. Be like, wow, this studio treated me badly as a player. Never buying from them again. Done. It's like
like
and
how
then
it works.
stick to it. Like actually stick to it. It's not that hard.
Because you're voting with the most powerful vote in the universe. which is your dollar.
Yep.
That will truly that makes people change, right? Unity didn't change because they were like, you know what, we want to support game makers again. No, they're like, crap, we're down 15%. We gotta figure this one out ASAP.
Everyone I talk to is upset at upper suits at AAA companies. No, I'll give you an example. I turned in some bugs for World of Warcraft the other day. I was playing World of Warcraft on stream, and I turned in a bunch of bugs for it. And there were people in chat saying, why are you doing Blizzard's QA work for them? Why are you working for free? I'm not. I'm turning in bugs because I want the game to be better. So that kind of weird behavior, that's animosity towards the normal linesman at a game company. That's animosity towards quality assurance at the game company. That's shitting on those people. That's not attacking a suit. That's not attacking some billionaire businessman. That's saying I want this game to be shitty and I want it to be secret so I can keep shitting on the company. Just turn in the bug, dude. Turn in the bug and walk away.
Yeah, if you like the game, why not?
Yeah.
You literally lose nothing and you potentially gain something nice.
Yeah, you know what? They fixed every one of the bugs they turned in. All of them. It's great, actually.
Yeah, and now a bunch of people get to enjoy it.
Yep.
There you go.
Super good.
Bonus for everybody. Man, I hate you for your nice work.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, hey, by the way, we did forget to talk about one thing that's super important.
Oh?
What are you going to be doing next? I don't know, Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah, you know what? You're going to be there too. Yeah?
What?
Yeah,
Hold
you
the
better
phone.
be. You better be. We're going to TwitchCon San Diego. Yeah.
This is me giving you a fist bump. I'm not sure if it works out on your side, but it works out on my
Which side is that? It's over.
Oh, yeah, we're way off.
Doing it.
That didn't work out at all.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we're it's going to be on TwitchCon San Diego. So if you're going to TwitchCon San Diego, we're going to be there. And I've got 2 meet and greets and 2 creator camps.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to be doing things the whole time. The meet and greets are like 4 hours of meet and greets. It's going to be a lot.
Dang, that's a lot of meet and greets.
It's going to be a lot.
Yeah, what time are your meet and greets at?
I have no idea. Kronos knows.
Nice.
I don't even know if they're in my calendar yet. Let me go look.
I'm sure you could find it on the webpage, but their webpage is the worst kind, which is the click and discover kind. So if you're like, what's at 10:30, you click it, you go into it, you have to back out. Then what's at 11:30, you have to click into it and then go back. Like they didn't just give you a nice tabulated list.
Oh
So I
God,
tried to
there are
go look at
so many things in my calendar. I don't want to look at that. It's a nightmare. No, it's too many. It's too many.
Co-girl says she's in your Sunday meet and greet, so you have one on Sunday.
Hell yeah. Sunday.
Hell yeah, there we go.
I think I have one on Saturday too. I have one every day. Every day that there's a convention.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I only have something on Friday, so I'm a fairly free man.
Yeah, hell yeah. Rock on, dude.
All right. Well, this was certainly the longest outro I think we've ever achieved.
Yeah, it's half the show.
Half the show's an outro. Is this
I'm gonna get
be
that
the new
video up.
thing? It's just constantly being like, all right, hey, goodbye, halfway through, and then the second half.
We should do that at the beginning. Every time be like, the show's over, guys. That's it. Oh, but wait.
Just keeps on going over and over again. I love this idea.
Yeah. I think we're just going to keep doing these, though, and we'll get better and better at it because we're still new to it. We don't have the graphics or anything yet, and it's just going to be one of those things where you just hang out and talk about things. It's fun to do.
I thought this was great. I actually thought this was a great one. This was significantly better than our first one.
Yeah. I think we just keep talking about things, get better at it. Be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm going to go to bed because I haven't slept, and it's a mess. I'm a mess.
Okay.
All right, everybody. I will see you all later. Goodbye. Chaos Noodle time. Goodbye. And by the way, I want you guys all to know, and I find this to be very important because we're running a podcast, and I want to be very honest with you. Primogen's mustache is fake. I know. It's upsetting.